and it's certainly most varied. Now, thanks to I'm a Celebrity, there isn't much of this man we haven't seen. His bottom has gained him a whole legion of new young supporters, and this year he was voted most influential politician in Britain at the Spectator Awards. YouGov now cites him as the most popular politician in the country, but ladies and gentlemen, soon he will make history when he becomes the next British Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage, MP.
Good afternoon, Falkirk. Good afternoon, Scotland. Good afternoon, Reform UK Scotland. That reception was remarkable. I thought you'd just beaten Brazil in the World Cup. You never know, it might happen. It might happen. It could just be that Reform, rising in the polls, brings back a sense of renewed national self-confidence here in Scotland. Martin Green has been our Scottish organiser for the last few years. He said to me, a few years ago, we couldn't get 20 people in a room. And here we are now, sold out at 750, and some people unable to come because we were so full. But to organise an event like this, you need a venue, and you need people on side to help you. And I want to say a massive thank you on my behalf, on our behalf, to the McDonald family for sponsoring us today. And Donald, please stand up. I really mean thank you. It's a fantastic venue, and you know what? He hasn't charged us a penny for being here. Now, our once great nation, the United Kingdom, is in very great trouble. We are in economic decline. We are in social decline. We are even, I think, frankly, in moral decline. And those problems here in Scotland, due to appalling political leadership, the chronic problems the United Kingdom has are even more acute in Scotland today, and we have to face up to that. The others do. I could spend the next 10 minutes slagging off the other parties. I could tell you that the SNP care more about Gaza than I could tell you that the Conservative Party have lost the will to fight. I could tell you that Labour are in free fall, and deservedly so. need to do that. Do you know why? The people of Scotland know it already. They know it already. And there is a huge gap in the political market. Do you know what people want? One 4-letter word. No, not that one. It's one 4-letter word.
Michael.
Hope, 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 hope. They want hope. They want to believe they can vote for people who've got the courage to face up to the existing problems and the ability as human beings with real world experience across a wide range of sectors to actually turn things around. And I know that as this campaign develops, as we head towards that first week of May next year, I have no doubt that all the other Scottish political leaders will tear chunks out of me on a daily basis, along with some of your charming newspapers. Do you know something? I'm not going to return the compliment. We know the failures that have happened here. We know that since devolution, Scotland has got poorer, weaker, crime is worse. I'm not here to play a political game of Punch and Judy with the others. We're going to ignore them. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to go out and sell to the Scottish people a manifesto based on hope, based on making people's lives better. We are the positive party of change and hope. I had a meeting the other day with Jim Ratcliffe. One of the few days he wasn't at Manchester United. And we talked about Grangemouth, Scotland's last major and biggest manufacturing base. Grangemouth's going to close. And Jim is going to invest £3 billion of money in America. Not because he wants to, but because national and Scottish government policies have now given us the highest industrial energy prices in the whole of the world. And you can't make ships, you can't make steel, you can't make chemicals, you can't refine, you can't make cement, you can't do any of these things if you have the highest industrial energy price in the world. But this argument, and it's one that Richard Tice and I have been making for years, it's been difficult. You see, politicians today don't believe in God, have no concept of the Judeo-Christian roots upon which the entirety of our civilization has been built.
Come on.
Of something called net zero, believing somehow they're going to save the planet. And they're all as bad as each other. It was the Conservatives that put tax on North Sea oil and gas profits up to 75%. And now under Rachel Reeves, that distinguished former Bank of England economist, no wonder she was crying in the House of Commons. And Reeves has put it up to 78%. Oil and gas exploration is a risky game. Many of the drill wells won't work. You'll lose 100%. But if you make money and you're paying away nearly 80%, why would you bother? We are destroying the North Sea. We are destroying Aberdeen. And not just oil and gas exploration, but all the engineering, all the global leading expertise that has grown up in Aberdeen for half a century. And into the bargain, as we build more and more windmills. I've got a friend of mine, by the way, who's got a Scottish mum. Wake up, the man! He, of course, loathes them, but we've gone down this route of wind energy. We give Scottish landowners £250,000 a year, £300,000 a year to put windmills on their land. And who pays the bill? You. You. Over the last 20 years, by basically paying an extra 20% on your electricity bills to support this madness. I've never seen a programme that has transferred so much money from poor people to rich people. It's madness. It's the industrialisation of Scotland. It is madness. And we'll fight to change all of that. I don't want Grangemouth to close. I don't want Jim Ratcliffe to invest $3 billion in America. I want him to invest it here in Scotland and provide well-paid jobs. Just across the North Sea, we have Norway. Norway are planning 250 new drill sites over the course of the next 10 years. Sensible Norway. But there's one more comparison that I think we should bear, and it's this. Norway has a 200-mile exclusive economic zone for the fish that swim in their waters. Norway has a thriving, absolutely thriving fishing industry. What do we have in Scotland? 12 miles, but really only control to 6. And no British government, no Scottish government actually has the guts to stand up and say, if Norway can do it, if Iceland can do it, if the Faroe Islands can do it, it's about time Scotland did it as well. That the Scots have a completely different attitude towards immigration. The Scots think open borders are a wonderful idea. Is that right? No! The media must have this wrong then. Actually, the social attitude survey shows that Scots are equally concerned, as people in England, in Wales, in Northern Ireland, about the integrity of their communities. And that doesn't for one moment mean we don't welcome people coming in and bringing some diversity. But when I saw that figure earlier this week, that 1 in 3 school kids in Glasgow does not speak English as a first language, you can see what the SNP are doing to the city of Glasgow. And frankly, who voted for this? Who voted for the wholesale change of the population of Glasgow and other parts of Scotland? Who voted for areas of our cities to literally become unrecognisable from their Scottish backgrounds? The answer, simple, nobody. And Glasgow, the city of sanctuary, well, I'm sorry, but it isn't just the housing, and it isn't just the money. Here in Falkirk, there have been 3 serious sexual assaults in the space of the last week. And I'm sorry, but if you as a country allow young men who come from countries in which women aren't even classed as second-class citizens, and you put them up in 4-star hotels, allow them to work illegally, their attitude towards women is completely different to ours. So the social effects of this are appalling as well. And whilst this may be more of a Westminster issue than it is a Holyrood issue, the fact is the SNP have chosen to put people who come here illegally to the top of the housing list, above that of families in Glasgow and elsewhere who have worked and lived and paid into the system for generations. It is wrong and it must end. There is so much more to say, but I am not the main attraction today. We've got a speaker far more important than me about to come on stage. Somebody who I think will have a transformative effect on our party here in Scotland. I love pulling rabbits out of the hat. I love surprising everybody. We agreed this about a month ago. It hasn't leaked to the media. How do you keep a secret? Don't tell anyone. And we've kept this a secret. But I want you, please, to welcome on the stage a very distinguished man. A man who's been a great success in many things that he's done in his life. He's currently the treasurer of the Conservative Party in Scotland. I don't know how long that position will last. He also sits in the House of Lords as a front bench spokesman for the Conservative Party. So you're about to welcome a Conservative onto the stage. But I suspect, I knew it. I knew it. I didn't want him to get booed. Because he's coming on as a Conservative, but I suspect in a few minutes' time, he might just have changed his political allegiance. Welcome to the stage, a man who's about to do a very brave, a very decent and principled thing. Lord Malcolm Offord, please come to the stage.
Hello, Reform Scotland. So I'm Malcolm from Greenock, and I'm delighted to be here in Grangemouth. Now, for those of our English friends in the room, the Lonely Planet guide used to say about Greenock, it's not quite the end of the world, but you can see it from there. I always thought that was unfair. But I'm here today in Grangemouth with Nigel, and Nigel insisted that I be here to tell you guys first, to make this announcement to you first. As I say, it's not leaked, quite incredible that that has been the case. I have to say every day, I would check every morning, I would check my phone to see what was coming. But look, today I can announce that I am resigning from the Conservative Party. Today I am joining Reform UK. And today I announce my intention to stand for reform in the Holyrood election in May next year. That means that from today, for the next 5 months, day and night, I shall be campaigning with all of you tirelessly with two objectives. The first objective is to remove this rotten SNP government. And the second is to present a positive vision for Scotland inside the UK. To restore Scotland to be a prosperous, proud, healthy and happy country.
Yeah.
Let me say the SNP have failed to deliver that Scotland. Labour cannot be trusted to deliver that Scotland. The Conservatives don't have the ambition to deliver that Scotland. Ladies and gentlemen, reform, Scotland needs reform, and reform is coming to Scotland. So for some of you wondering who is this guy up on this lectern, a little bit of background on me. So my name is Malcolm Ian Offord, but I sit in the House of Lords with a rather fancy name called Lord Offord of Garvel. Now, I can tell you quite an amusing story about how I came to get that title. I'll tell you that another time. But the short answer is that Garvel Point is the deep water on the River Clyde in my hometown of Greenock. And back in the day, obviously, Greenock was a fishing village, but the deep water on the Clyde where the boats would come in. And then, of course, you've heard about James Watt and the Industrial Revolution, and that came to Greenock, and we became a proud shipbuilding and sugar refining town. And Greenock was a prosperous place 100 years ago. And I was born in a tenement in 33 Bank Street, just behind the Midkirk. And I wanted a wee nipper. I'd go down to the Well Park on the swings, and that overlooks Garvel Point. So that, for those of you who wonder why it's Garvel, that is why it's Lord Offord of Garvel. My family background was a modest background. I would be described probably as sort of lower middle class type concept. My mother was a nurse. My father was a building surveyor. These were the types of people that did not go to university. You know, they gig where they worked during the day and they did night school at night to further improve their lives. And they had 6 children. I was one of 6. In fact, actually, they trained to be missionaries, and they had intended to go to the Congo, but ended up in Greenock instead. So I went off to my local school. I went to Argown Primary School. I went to Greenock Academy. I got an amazing first-class Scottish education. And I remember my headmaster saying to me, right, you've got 2 choices. You either go to Glasgow University or Edinburgh University, and you've got to be a doctor, lawyer, and accountant. So that was my choices. Off I went to Edinburgh to read law, and the only thing that convinced me was I didn't want to be a lawyer. And it was good timing actually, because it was 1980. I graduated in 1986. A big bang had just happened. Obviously, the Thatcher Revolution. The Companies Act 1981, still the most important act put in place in terms of deregulation in the UK, Nigel Lawson, etc. And I fancied a crack at London. What did Dr. Johnson say? There's no finer sight than a Scotsman on the highway to England. And I fancied my chances there. I went off to London. I remember going to the stagecoach at the bus station at St Andrews Square. And I was starting work on Monday, 5th of October 1987. And I was going to go down on a Saturday night. I wanted to go down because it was half the price of going overnight on the stagecoach. And I remember I had one suitcase, and I had my rugby kit, and I had a letter for a job. And I went up to the lassie in the kiosk and said, I'd like a single ticket, please, overnight to London. And she said, oh, that'll be £1.99. I said, don't you want a return ticket? That'll be £2.99. I remember saying, I'm not coming back. But I did. I came back to Scotland. I had a good career down in London. One of the things about being down in London was that this was what would be called sort of classic Scottish, the Scottish brand. What does that mean? What's the Scottish brand mean down in the city? What it meant was basically you were a lad of parts, is sort of the words that it used. You're well educated, you're honest, and you're hard working. What a good brand that is, eh? So, that took me a long way, but I came back up here in 2014 after 25 years. And of course, then that's when I got politically motivated, because we had the first in the ref. You know, 3.6 million people voted in that referendum. Political scientists around the world study that referendum. 85% turnout, the highest turnout of any election except in Australia where it's compulsory to vote. And it was decisive, wasn't it? 2 million people voted to stay in the UK, 1.6 million people voted to leave. And that was for a generation, wasn't it? So that was done, and then I found myself in 2020, and Nicola's got a plan to have another referendum. And at this point, I found myself throwing things at the telly. And that's when you've got to stand up and say, right, I'm going to do something. So I thought, right, you know what, I'm going to have a go at this, I'm going to have a go at Hollywood. But it was COVID, and couldn't get out to meet anybody, couldn't get out to leaflet with anybody, couldn't campaign. So it was a bit of a waste of time, but so I sat myself down and wrote myself a letter, as you do. And I wrote a wee pamphlet saying why should Scotland remain inside the UK, and it turned out to be 7 essays. I got picked up by The Spectator, I got picked up by CPS, etc, etc. And I got a phone call from Alistair Jack, who was then Secretary of State for Scotland, and he said, Mark, I've been following what you're doing, would you like to come in and help me in the Scotland office? And that came out of the blue, and I said, well, what's the job? And he said, we're going to take on the Nats. And I said, okay, I'm up for that, I'll come and join you. I'll come and join you. So I joined, and of course the bit I didn't get was, well, how do I do that? I'm not an MP. And he sort of laughed at me on the phone and said, you don't know? I said, no. He said, well, we're going to put you in the House of Lords. So that's how that came about, and I joined the House of Lords. Quite a bizarre concept, but I was then a minister in the Scotland office, which I have to say at that time was probably the most engaged Scotland office we'd had for 25 years. What happened was basically London, Whitehall, when the devolution settlement was passed in 1999, it was basically devolve and forget, and they basically just didn't get involved in Scottish affairs anymore, and as a result, we then got more engaged. My job was to go see the 32 local authorities in Scotland, and that's when I discovered something quite interesting, which is that when I spoke to 32 local authorities, I discovered they were very interested in talking to the UK government because we had ideas, ambition, and we had money. And we wanted them to be successful and ambitious in their own communities. And what I discovered was they said, we don't get any of that from Edinburgh. We don't get any of that communication or engagement from the SNP in Edinburgh. I was thinking, this devolution, they call for more power back all the time from London to Edinburgh. When it gets to Edinburgh, it seems to get hoarded. It doesn't seem to get pushed down to local authorities. I remember, lots more stories I can tell you another time, but perhaps a highlight was when I was up in Inverness at the Highland Authority, and they had trouble. Remember, the Corran ferry broke down. And if you're going across, to Strontian, it's only 10 minutes on the ferry, but if not, it's an hour and a half drive, right? And they wanted a bit of help, and I was talking to the leader of the council, who was an SNP man. And the highlight of my little moment was to say, okay, I can help you with some money, but in return you've got to put a Union flag on the ferry. So look, here I am. So why am I here? And what are the questions you should be asking me? And I sort of worked it in 2 bits. First question is, what lessons did I learn as a minister in the Conservative government in the last 3 years of the 14? And secondly, why am I leaving the Conservative Party after 1 year in opposition? So let's deal with the first one first. What I learned, I had 3 prime ministers in 3 years. There was no clear principles and no clear ideology. It was a shambles. They were career politicians, optimistically working out what they wanted for themselves. They would talk about this concept called legacy. My legacy. Isn't legacy something given to you, bequeathed on you, years later by historians? It's not something you create for yourself. What a selfish concept. And so we have weather-vane politicians blowing in the wind. Poor old Boris didn't know how to leave or remain. Poor Liz didn't know how to cut taxes or do a massive big state spending on paying everyone's electricity bills. So she did it both on the same day. And poor old Rishi didn't know how to eat out or ban smoking. And then in the meantime, as I interacted with the various secretaries of states and departments, I saw ministers not in control of their brief and not in control of the department. I saw civil servants dictating matters. Now, there were some exceptions to that. And I think actually there were some really well-run departments by good ministers. Michael Gove ran a tight ship at education and levelling up. Alistair Jack certainly ran a very strong Scotland office. And even Kevin Lashley in DBT was doing really well with trade deals post-Brexit. But interacting with people from the Treasury, the Home Office, DEFRA, DESNES, DWP, I found politicians were more interested in their own career moves than actually dictating what policy should be in their department. And this is a great lesson and opportunity for reform. Number one, do you think you know what Nigel Farage stands for?
Yes.
Has he changed his mind over 20 years? No. So do you think therefore he'll give clear direction to the country?
Yes.
And second of all, Danny Cougar's got a big job. Danny Cougar's got a big job to basically get a cadre of very talented people in who will be new ministers to understand that ministers, advisors can advise, but ministers decide. The ministers should be in charge. So coming to the second question, why am I leaving? And I'm going to give you a UK perspective and then a Scottish perspective. When we moved into opposition, I thought I'd done 3 years in the government, 2 years in Scotland office, and 1 year as export minister. I did an April Fool's actually, the 1st of April, where I put a clip out saying that I'd managed to persuade the Prime Minister that I could change my name from the Queen's Minister for Exports. Anyway, so I thought that was it, that was done. And then Kemi asked me to come and do a job for her. She said, I want you to look at energy. The Conservative Party got themselves in a bad place in energy. I said, why are you putting me into that? She said, because you're a business guy and you'll look at it with a clear view and you don't have any baggage on the issue. So I did, I looked at it. And of course, when one begins to do that, you peel back the onion. And I have to tell you folks, I was pretty shocked and horrified by what I found. And perhaps that was the start of my journey to reform. That we have now got energy prices 7 times more expensive than China, 4 times more expensive than the USA, and we've done this to ourselves. That we import 70% of our gas from Norway, from fields that are over the fence from the ones that we're shutting down. Even the Norwegian Energy Minister thinks that's daft. And we've done this ourselves. 2/3 of the price of your bills are not even the energy that you spend. And look at what's happened for us, for Scots particularly. I mean, here we are, obviously here in Greenland, just around the corner there. I mean, you mentioned Jim Ratcliffe and the Indians cracker. I went to see in the Oxford. Obviously, there's a refinery, and there's also the cracker next door, Effing cracker. There's 40 of those in Europe. The one in Grangemouth is the second most efficient in Europe, but it can't make a profit in the UK. If you picked it up and dropped it into Texas, it'd make a profit of 150 million a year. That's a lot of jobs and a lot of livelihoods. But the cost of energy and carbon tax self-inflicted mean that is in jeopardy. We've got Alexander Dennis just down the road, where we've got the Scottish Government virtually signalling on green policy, giving out taxpayers money to buy buses made in China, using slave wages. Whereas our companies have quite rightly paid a living wage. The hypocrisy of this is extraordinary. Of course, in the North Sea, we've talked about 1,000 jobs a week. So I was sort of thinking to myself, you know what, this is bad. Perhaps this is an aberration. Except you then begin to look at, peel the onion on the other areas of public life. Immigration. Oops, that looks a bit out of control. 2.6 million people coming through on the 5-year Boris wave. That happened under the Conservative government. What about our economy? Taxation at the highest levels been since the Second World War. Borrowing at the highest level since the Second World War. And welfare. Seems like this is a country now where you're better off not working than working. The Conservatives will say, and rightly, that Labour, since they come into power, have made all of these 5 areas worse. That is correct. But let's not kid ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, that this mess was created by the Conservative Party. And the question the British public are being asked is, would you trust the people who made the mess? They cleaned up the mess. No. And are the British public fed up with this monopolitics?
Yep. Yes.
And therefore, are the British people ready for reform?
Yes.
And giving you a Scottish perspective, I mean, I've got a little bit of a confession to make here because, to be honest with you, I'm not that concerned with UK politics because I think that Nigel's going to sort that out. But I am concerned with Scottish politics. Very concerned about what happens in Scotland. And that's why I'm leaving the Scottish Conservative Party, because the Scottish Conservative Party, I believe, have given up on Scotland. And, ladies and gentlemen, I can't do that. And let me explain. So during the last year, through 2025, I did involve myself much more in Holyrood as I could during the last 12 months, having previously just been in London for 3 years. And in fact, actually, I supported Russell Finlay to be the leader and raise money for his campaign. But what I found, quite candidly, is a party which is regional, not national, parochial, not political, timid, not ambitious. A party with a vision of how to govern Scotland with a right of centre agenda. And I have to say, I try to help. Having seen the devolution up close and seen how the Scottish National Party failed to implement devolution when I was in the Scotland office, I do firmly believe that within devolution settlement we can make Scotland the most prosperous part of the UK. But you need to have a vision and what to do. You need policies to do that. And I went off on a slight tangent of my own. I got involved with the Centre for Policy Studies, who, as you know, over the last 15 years have produced probably the most centre-right policies for UK parties, mostly Conservatives. And we did a pamphlet and we called it Wealthy Nation, Healthy Nation. And we got some contributors in the world of health and education particularly, looked at the economy to find out what it is that's going wrong in Scotland. And in that was some ideas about some policy. What was the response of the Scottish Conservative Party? Turns out they don't want policies. Turns out they're not interested in having policies. Turns out they've got one policy, say no to independence. But what I've learned is that there's actually a codependent relationship now between the Scottish Conservative Party and the Scottish National Party. It suits them both to obsess with independence, while Scotland in the meantime gets badly governed. And I believe the Scottish people deserve more than this. Ladies and gentlemen, I say it again, Scotland needs reform, and reform is coming to Scotland. So, it's a great pleasure to be with you all here today in Falkirk, and I look forward to campaigning with you all between now and the 7th of May. Ladies and gentlemen, let's run a positive campaign in Scotland, full of hope, full of ambition and reform. We can present the people of Scotland with an aspiration to become a prosperous, proud, healthy and happy country. A country where work is respected and rewarded, where education is restored to world class, where healthcare is reformed for the benefit of all, where local communities are revitalised and not overrun by uncontrolled migration. A country where our young people are skilled up to the modern economy, clustered around our natural centres of excellence. A country where our adults are encouraged and retrained and incentivised to go back to work. Where the best welfare anyone can get is a good job, which allows them best welfare anyone can have is a good job, which allows them to build a good home. Ladies and gentlemen, a country that works will become a wealthy country and a healthy country. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from various speakers about our heritage as Scots. We invented the modern world with our innovation, our science, our technology, but most of all, our hard work. Isn't it time now to reclaim our inheritance? Yes. So let me conclude just with some personal remarks. As Danny Kruger reflected when he joined Reform, it's not easy to say goodbye to former colleagues, some of whom have become good friends. For me, these two former colleagues are Alistair Jack Kimmy Piednock, and I've not been able to forewarn them on this announcement because obviously this has been on Barcode for obvious reason. Alistair and Kimmy, I say, it's not personal, but I need to put country before party. Conservative Party by their own admission are unelectable, and Scotland needs a centre-right alternative in Holyrood next year. Reform is the only party with a restoration narrative to make Scotland wealthy and healthy again, and I must play my part. Therefore, well, to make amends, but more as a point of principle, I must now give up my place in the House of Lords, resign from the front bench, and return my peerage whence it came. This will allow me to campaign for reform in the Holyrood election, as good old Malcolm offered. And in so doing, I take great comfort from the bard. A prince can mack a belted knight, a marquis, duke, and all that. The rank is but a guinea stamp. A man's a man for all.
Something that is extraordinarily brave. Extraordinarily brave. I mean, the House of Lords is the best old people's home in the whole of the country. And he's giving all that up. He's giving the title up. He's giving the cushy number up to join us, to come on the streets and campaign and fight for us. And I think today is a big day for Reform Scotland. I'll be back here repeatedly between now and next May. I'll be going all over Scotland. I'll be campaigning, not just with Malcolm, but with the other candidates. And by the way, that if you want to stand, it's not too late, although there isn't very long. And we aim next May to do something truly remarkable in those Scottish Parliament elections. And I know from the atmosphere in this room today, from the growth of the party in Scotland, from the quality, calibre of people that are joining us, that we can and we will do something remarkable. But today, it's Malcolm's Day. Welcome to the party.
You go to the back? Sorry? You go to the back? No, no.
Hello, how you doing?
Well, that was interesting, isn't it? That's a lord from the Conservative Party front bench that's just resigned and joined Reform. That was a big announcement today. She's all accounts. Hey Councillor, how you doing?
How you doing?
Let me just move over. David Valentine, Guerilla TV channel, how you doing?
Alright,
Good?
yeah. I'm all good.
That's fine, thank you. That's correct. So they've got about 17 councillors just now. Oh, you want to move it? That's fine. Falkirk, here we come. Oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, what's that? Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay, now. So, let me just fix myself so I don't look like a tramp. Getting all harassed yesterday. That was always interesting. It's always interesting these sort of mini conferences.